I have learned the power of saying no is greater than the power of saying yes.
What really prompted that decision for you to be like, I need to take a step back?
When your name's above the door, people expect you to show up. People want Adam, but you have to look at your time. What I never want to do is build up a business that's over capacity. We were really badly let down when the venues had double booked. We couldn't go into the restaurant. It was 2 days before. He said to me, look, I need to meet you in half an hour. And he was like, sorry, I'm busy. I said, no, you don't understand. I said, I need to see you in half an hour. That day literally has changed our life. Your network is your net worth. I strongly believe that. The power of collaboration has completely transformed my business.
Welcome back to Focus on Founders. I'm Matthew Adams, and this is the podcast where we go beyond the highlight reel and we find out what it's actually like to be a founder, someone leading change and making things happen within a business environment. Today, I am joined with
Adam Stewart.
And Adam, for anyone that's not heard of you, what is it you do? What does that look like?
So I am a host and presenter during the week. Now, I also do own my own marketing agency. That's why we're here talking today. But the majority of what I do is now hosting, presenting, which is good. It's good fun, talk for a living. But the business obviously is bread and butter. Still very much involved and oversee and, all of that. So very much still hands-on, and I've had to build up the business since 2017. So that's what I do.
It's really exciting, and I can't wait to get into the story and everything that you've done and built up over the years. First, we start off every episode before we get into your story.
Oh dear.
With the fast fire founders questions.
Go for it.
So that is 9 questions. Just answer them. First thing that comes to mind. No long stories, no pauses.
I like a long story, you know me.
We can get into them later on.
Love a chat.
So the first question is, when was the last time you thought about calling it quits?
Just before Christmas.
The most random place you've took a business call?
Oh, there's quite a few random. Probably in Tesco.
Early riser or night owl?
Early.
One truth about business people rarely said out loud?
It's just so hard. It really is. It's hard.
A quote or phrase that you actually live by?
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
One app you couldn't run your business without?
Oh, Bank of Scotland.
Weirdest piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Weirdest piece of advice. Skip. I don't know.
Okay. First call when everything's going wrong?
A bit Halliday.
And in one sentence...
Actually, just first call all the time, Vic Halliday.
In one sentence, what makes a great founder?
Someone who's willing to listen more than they speak.
Brilliant. That was Fast Fire Founders. Thank you, Adam. This episode is brought to you by Dussel. Dussel is a premium, gender-neutral skincare brand founded here in Glasgow by Fraser. It's 5-star rated and recommended by GQ. If you want to grab yourself some of the Dussel product range, use code FOCUS15 and that'll get you 15% off. Now, let's get into the story. So, you described your upbringing as pretty standard, growing up with your mum and dad, with the sort of one key influence really being your dad having a business, and that taught you a lot. So paint that picture for us. What did a young Adam look like? What was growing up like?
Very, very standard upbringing, to be honest with you. Siblings are older, so we're out of the house by the time I was born. So I feel like an only child, even though I'm not. Mum, dad. Mum taught. She was a lecturer. Dad, businessman. Been in business since I was born. So all I've really known is my dad. Not having a boss, and I love that. I think I've seen that since such a young age. I can't imagine myself having a boss and someone tell me what to do, but I think that's been integrated in me since I've been, so young. I was very much encouraged to continue in education, though. I was very much encouraged to go get a profession. I was extremely encouraged, and probably still am, to be honest with you, to have a profession, what I would describe as a normal job. So teaching, for example, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. There was a few things being floated out there, but teaching is where I was heading to. In fact, I've got a degree in teaching, but I was very much encouraged to go down the traditional route rather than business. And I know why they were doing that. It was sheer protection. You know, running business is hard, really hard, and we all know that, especially now. But initially, I was pushed down that traditional route.
And you said you were very independent from a young age, and you didn't really like being told what to do.
No.
How early was that kind of showing up for you?
Forever. I'm quite an independent person.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love being around people. I love being around friends. I love being. I'm a very people person, very much so. But I am still very independent. I do like my own time. I like to make my own decisions, whether they're right or wrong. That's another question. But I do like being quite independent.
And looking back now, kind of on your childhood, was there kind of that restriction from being, you know, kind of guided towards maybe taking up a traditional path, going down teaching, for example, and being that really independent person that didn't like to follow maybe necessarily the paths that everyone else sort of guided out?
Absolutely. I mean, I made a TikTok on this last year and it went absolutely wild. There was probably about 4 people in my life that encouraged me to do what I'm doing now. Maximum 4. Everyone else, including all family members, you know, it was very much play it safe. I was always into performing when I was a child as well. So, you know, performing, even though I do perform now technically in work, but just in a very different way. But it was always guiding me towards going down that traditional route. I did listen to that advice and I did go down the traditional route. But they always say you might not have to use it. You might not need to use it. You might not want to be a teacher, but still have it at your back. It's a great backup. So I listened to them. I did listen to them, but I had to basically take a gap year. I'll try and keep this really short because it's a long story. I had to take a gap year before going to university. Within that gap year, if I didn't have that gap year to go and get my maths qualification to go and be a teacher, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So the gap year actually saved me and started the business really in 2017 because we were in a position where social media was at the very, very start. We were, in terms of where we are now, we were at the very start. We thought social was huge then. We had no idea. And it's going so quickly. So I believe that I jumped on the bandwagon, if you like, or fell. It literally fell on my lap, which we'll explain. But I fell into this at the exact right time. And social media has given me an opportunity to build a business from my phone anywhere in the world, build my client base, which is just amazing. And I was able to build a business while still being a teacher. I went through 4 years of university and I was still building a business at the same time, even though I didn't really understand the scale of what I was doing then.
This is what I admire and really love about kind of you and your story is you wanted to do your kind of own thing and you knew that quite early on, but had that kind of self-awareness even during going and doing the degree and studying that this is something that I want to do and continue to do. I think a point that you touched on earlier on there was there was only 4 people that kind of supported your decision wholeheartedly in terms of you should go and do that, make something happen with that. A lot of people that listen to this podcast are early stage founders or have the dream, I suppose, of one day doing it. What would be your advice to those people who are maybe getting told, stay safe, don't risk it?
Yeah, I think there is obviously an element in today's world of people advising you to stay safe. And do you know, I can understand that. I really can. Being employed comes with so many benefits. So many benefits. You know, if I take a day off right now, no one's paying me. I have to be doing the work, or my company has to be doing the work. So there's a huge, huge benefit to being employed. But for me, my advice would be do not listen to these people. Because, I mean, look where I am now. Look what I'm doing now. And that absolutely could be anyone watching this. You know, if you fail, who cares? You'll do something else. You can go and get a job somewhere else. I always thought to myself, no, I can't go back to teaching now because I'm now, my qualification is now expired, so that's fine. So that's now not a backup for me, even though I thought it would be. But anyway, that's another story. So for me, I now don't have a backup. And don't get me wrong, I could go into education as a whole. I couldn't go and teach in a classroom now, but I absolutely could work in education. And, you know, an education degree. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a degree at your back. And no matter what, I think that's important for people. I do think having something there is important, but something generic that will support you no matter what avenue you go down in life is great. But for me, go for your plan A. Just ignore the plan B. Because imagine I didn't.
Yeah.
Imagine I didn't take that leap and just do it anyway.
Wouldn't be here talking today.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You know, I wouldn't have the time, flexibility, freedom that I do right now. So my advice would be you have to just do it. You have to trust your gut.
And there's people coming up to these sort of crossroads where they might be leaving school in a similar position maybe to yourself, where maths was the missing part to go and taking that
terrible.
To go in and taking that next step in terms of what you thought potentially the pathway was going to be.
Yeah.
So they're coming to this crossroad. They've left school. Let's go to university, or do I start my business? Would you say that the thing from your angle is go and do the degree and build it in the background, or go all in and start that business and just see what happens?
I think it's a really hard question, because I ask myself that question often. What if I didn't go to uni and purely focused on the business full time? I would probably be 4 years ahead of where I am right now. However, the life experience I got and the knowledge that I gained at university, even though I'm not in that industry, has been huge for me. So if you can, go and get your degree, then build your business at the same time. Absolutely. If you can, make it work. It's hard work. I was working round the clock, but I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did. If I had to go back, I probably would just do the business full time.
Yeah.
Probably. But I'm extremely grateful for the opportunities I've had, for the skills that I've learned, for the people that I've met. Like, I've met the most incredible people over those 4 years, and it has opened doors to me. So, but again, running your own business, you can work when it suits you. You know, that's the whole point. That is the reason that most of us are in this, to have that flexibility and to build a life that you want. So I was able to, you know, be in school, teach, be at uni and on placement, literally teaching full time, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, prep at night, and then go into business mode at night. That's just what you have to do. And it's only a few years. It is worth it. But if I had to go back, would I go to uni now? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I think it's really...
not.
No.
Probably not.
I think it's really important for people, regardless of what step that they take, whether they go into education, further education, or start that business, that they understand how difficult it is, regardless, to have a business.
It's hard.
The long hours that it kind of takes up, whether that's finishing up with your studies and then, you know, you're tired, but you still need to keep going.
You were doing the same, were you not?
Yeah, my background was I was running a business while being at university, learning. So very similar in that sense.
But you know, it is possible. Of course, it's possible. There's nothing wrong with going and getting that degree, absolutely. And but I suppose your degree was at least in line with your industry. Mine wasn't. You know, I was literally teaching 5-year-olds. They're counting to 10, and then, you know, signing 10 grand contracts at night for, you know, for one deal. You know, it's my world was so different. What I was dealing with was so different. There was once, I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I will, I don't care. I'm out it now. I had to, I see my mum watches this. I had to phone in sick to the school I was on placement to go and work with the Strictly cast for the Strictly Come Dancing Tour 2023 or whatever it was at that time. And I remember Vic was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, I had to go back for the last hour or something, because there was no way we could get cover. But I phoned in for the morning, and she was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I've got primary 1 class, I need to go." And it was just like, that was the two worlds were just couldn't be further apart if I tried.
Do you think you picked up any skills like in the classroom that are transferable?
Adaptability. You need to be adaptable. I mean, to be fair, every skill that I've probably got has stemmed from teaching in some way, even just your patience, for sure. And listen, I don't regret teaching. I love teaching. Education is such a big passion of mine. It always will be. I'm very, very passionate about education, but it's just not the route that I want to go down. Within that gap here, I got a job within STV. We were taking street activations on the road, launching I'm a Celeb, X Factor, The Voice, Britain's Got Talent, 2017-18, whatever year it was. So from a very young age, I've been immersed in the scene of influencer, celeb, very high profile people, very high profile producers, directors, very high profile brands as well. So that's my first experience of work. I was plunged right into that. So having those contacts from then has solidified me to where I am now. So at 17 years old, even whilst before my teacher training, I was submitted into this world that I didn't even know existed, or if I did know existed, I didn't know the scale of it. And now is obviously what my business is built upon.
You mentioned that in 2017, when you were kicking things all off, that it was nowhere near the scale of what it is today. How did you recognise, or did you recognise, that social media was going to be something that was really going to take off and it was going to be influential in terms of how businesses operate today?
I think for me in 2017, the conversations were really just starting to happen. Yes, brands were aware that they had to post on social media, but I don't think they understood the power of social media. I mean, when I was at Clyde One, just after STV, I was there for probably 6 months. I mean, it was very much freelance at Clyde, but like the marketing team, I say marketing team, there was probably one person at that time, literally would hand me a phone and say, going to do some stories on there? Or can you control that social for the day while we're out? Or Adam, you're going to go with this team, but you'll do the social for it. Like, imagine just handing like a freelancer a phone and saying, will you do some social for me? Just that's what it was then. So I had the opportunity to post for such big brands. Clyde One is an institution in Scotland. It's huge. It's Glasgow's biggest radio station. And to have that responsibility to be the one putting out there the material from 17 years old, having no experience, I'd never put up I had my own personal, but I'd never put up for a brand before. I had to really submerge and learn very quickly how to do that. So, they had no idea the scale back then.
And when you're first stepping into this realm of social media, what was the first things that you went and learned about that, having not really any experience, to then being like, I need to be an expert at this?
Yeah, I think to be honest, and this is still the same, it's community building. It really, really is. I mean, even like speaking about your sponsor as well, like all of this is community building. Clyde One, especially STV, had such a strong community, and I think I've learned most of my skills from that. But in terms of like what I had to learn in social media, at that point, Canva, creating things on Canva and getting your, planning your grid and planning your feed and having a marketing strategy for social. If we had to talk about a strategy in social, they'd laugh. They were just on a whim putting things up. So then I didn't really have to learn too much, because it's not now what we understand social media marketing to be, or social media management to be. Back then it was very much, we'll shove that on today.
Yeah.
So it was just more about, I suppose back then it was understanding brand tone of voice and how we want each of the listeners, especially from radio, to see that online. I remember it was part of the street team for Clyde. Obviously, I would go out with the phone with them and put things up. But we were then sponsored by other brands. I think it was 40, the clothing shop. We were doing like it was one of these challenges where on air they would speak about a golden envelope with £500 voucher in it, and the listeners had to go about Glasgow looking for these envelopes. So I'm sure that's what it was. So having, the ability to post on social for these brands, it was a huge responsibility. And again, the opportunity landed on my lap. And before look at it now, it's just a different world altogether now from there.
At that stage, how important for you was instinct versus timing in terms of those early decisions, being involved in that space?
Well, for me, all I knew from that moment is that my contacts there, and I knew this from this point, my contacts that I made then are still with me now. And I understood the power of that then. I knew there was something, my instinct did tell me there was something huge going to happen here with social. I knew we had to be ahead of the curve. And I knew that my connections then would carry me through my career. If this is the way I wanted to go down. I knew that 100%. And actually, I'm still very good friends with the people I met then, because I keep my connections really strong.
Yeah.
For me, as we know, like we'll talk about the business now later on, but my whole business model is based off of collaboration. So, you know, I still collaborate now with the people that I met then when I was 17.
That's class.
So I suppose that was instinct, yeah.
Let's move, I suppose, onto the business side of things. Your business wasn't always what it is today, and I don't even mean in terms of what you do as such, but it was a different name. It was so tell the audience kind of the evolution of you starting out 2017, what that looked like to now.
Okay, so 2017, I worked freelance, STV, Clyde One, whilst studying. It wasn't as such. I didn't have a business then. I was just a freelancer. We then hit COVID. I'm sure. What year was that? A few years later.
2020.
Yeah. Okay. So I've skipped a few years here. So started at STV, then worked in PR for the clubs. I worked at Cushion, the G1 group. Then went to Sanctuary. I owe a lot to those guys for having me there because I met huge connections, and I will never ever not be thankful and have so much gratitude for them, because the opportunities and rooms they put me in I've set my business up as well, so I'm so grateful to them. I met Keane McKenzie, who was their photographer at the time, who worked on all their content, and Keane was like, listen, I've got a few brands, need help with socials, need help with influencers, can you help me? I was like, absolutely. At that point, Adam Stewart Creative was born. I had, you know, restaurants, I had lots of businesses, small independent businesses, coffee shops reaching out and say, Adam, I see you're doing this on social, can you help me? Again, your big companies didn't exist at that point. This was just me and a phone. So that was Adam Stewart Creative. That ran all the way through until 2023, I'm going to say. And in 2023, and in October 2023, I decided to rebrand. Within that time, because of my connections, because of the industry that I was in from the TV, radio stuff, I slowly and surely found myself doing a bit more presenting, a bit more hosting, a bit more of these, a bit more podcast work. And all of a sudden, I found myself doing ladies' lunches, charity balls, hosting interviews for brands, doing on-street content, hosting live panels, doing a bit of live camera work. So my brand, Adam Stewart, quickly has evolved, but I've still got a business here that needs run.
Mm-hmm.
Wave the agency. I then decided to change the name to Waves the agency and to fully remove my name. So Adam Stewart brand, Wave the brand. Wave operates on its own. Hopefully one day I won't need to be there, but that's another. We're a wee bit away from that yet, but hopefully one day I won't need to be there. And in 2000, I'm going to say 22. I'm guessing there. I met Vic Halliday. I've known Vic since I was very young. She was very much a pioneer in this industry. She worked for a brand that I absolutely admire and now work with globally. And one day she said to me, look, do you have space to help me with social for this brand? I said, absolutely, let's do it. We had a great relationship. So meanwhile, I'm collaborating with Keane at Tact Agency. I'm now collaborating with Vic Halliday Consultancy. And we have built up clients. Keane also now works with Vic and I collectively as well. We all collaborate, as well as a few others. There's Kat from Duo Social, Elise from Mac Social, sorry. So there's quite a lot of us. Kaylee from Riva Social. So there's quite a lot of us that collaborate together now. Vic and I would say 95% of my work that I do is with Vic in terms of Waves. Not in terms of my own stuff, obviously, but in terms of Waves, probably 95% of my work is collaborated with Vic Halliday Consultancy, and obviously Keane's a massive part of that as well as our wider team. So collaboration has been a huge part for me. So the rebrand came to take me out of the equation.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, like, from being so long as Adam Stewart Consultancy.
Yeah.
What really prompted that decision for you to be like, I need to take a step back in terms of, it's no longer my name that's at the forefront, it's now Waves the agency. What was that? Yeah,
so again, when your name's above the door, people expect you to show up. And yes, I am still very much involved in my business. Of course, I'm the driving force behind it. But for me, I had to remove my name to give me time to do these hosting, presenting opportunities that came. And let me tell you, as I said before, those opportunities have come from when I've been 17, working with an STV and Clyde. And even though I was only there for such a short space of time, the impact that's had in my life has been huge. And for me, that shows the power of connection and it shows the power of collaboration. and your network is your net worth. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I strongly believe that. So, you know, I had to remove my name from that because it was Adam will do it, and had to have that narrative change to give me the time, flexibility, freedom that I needed to then go and do the hosting and presenting.
And
does that make sense?
yeah.
I think people expect you to show up, and you know, now Vic and I have as a small team, but we do have a team, and I need more time and to change the narrative so that I don't need to show up all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for people that are thinking about doing something. If they're associating their name with it, that might be the expectation.
Absolutely. It was definitely the expectation for me. People want Adam. And don't get me wrong, of course people still do want Adam, and that's fine. I fully do understand that. But, you know, it's especially for our kind of bigger clients, our hotel clients, our hotel chains as well, massive hotel chains. I no longer need to go to absolutely everything. Our team can look after it, and of course we can oversee. So it's been a great transition. It's taken time. It still is taking time, but we'll get there.
You mentioned how vital your roles in freelancing with STV, Clyde One were in terms of just your career generally. What would be the sort of thing that you would say to someone in terms of if they were going through the early stages of their career, they weren't necessarily maybe doing a business as of yet, it might be in the back burner of their thoughts, but what would you say to them in terms of being in an internship, early stage job, and the things that they could pick up or focus on and do within that to ensure that should they choose to do anything down the line, that they can fully take that chance with both hands?
Your network is your net worth. The people you meet on your journey right now are going to impact your decisions and your path later on. And for me, having that black book of contacts, they are genuine connections as well, not just contacts within industries and within workplaces. Genuine, lovely connections will be the driving force of your business later down the line. And I've absolutely found that. You know, I love everyone that I've worked with. I've had amazing friends and still do have amazing friends in this industry, but that is because we have genuine connection with each other and we genuinely enjoy working with each other. When you work for yourself, you've got a choice. You've got a choice who you work with. And for me, I choose to work and collaborate with people who have the same interests, who share the ambition for collaboration, the ambition for success for our clients. And you know, so that would be my advice. Find your people. Find your connections. I mean, even like people who are in internships, I think internships are incredible opportunities for people. You are getting an opportunity to get paid whilst learning and being plunged into an industry. Grab that with two hands. Meet people. Understand what they do. Connect with them on a personal level. You know, that for me has been so important. And that, again, I believe that is why my business is here today.
One thing that I often see or struggle with in terms of people building relationships is networking's quite a core theme in events in terms of if you want to make new connections, build relationships, go to networking events. I enjoy networking events. I think they're quite good at times.
You love the chat.
But
that's what it is.
I also think sometimes they're very limiting. A lot of the networking events are constant 30-second pitches. Hi Adam, I'm Matthew, I'm doing this. And then somebody else joins the conversation. What would you say in terms of that you've done that's helped you build genuine, strong relationships with people?
Yep.
And what environments have you found them in? Has it been the traditional networking events?
Never networking events. I'll be honest, I've never attended a networking event. I appreciate them. I'm not saying I wouldn't go to one. I'm not saying that at all. I just find them quite a difficult environment to be in. I find them quite an empty environment. Of course, fruit can come from them. I'm not saying that. They can be fruitful. Of course they can be. And for meeting people quickly, I get that. But is that a genuine connection? I'm not sure. For me, even like with you, it was over coffee, I'm sure. Or, you know, well, obviously it was different paths, but it was a genuine one-to-one connection. For me, that's more powerful. Really understanding what that other person does, their connection, their network. How can you tap into that? How can they tap into yours? How can you collaborate together to make, you know, an amazing work for clients? Or, you know, I just find these networking events a little bit empty. And for me, that personal connection. Do you want to grab a coffee? Or even being very specific with it. People say to me, Adam, have you got 20 minutes to meet me for a coffee? And I can say, absolutely, I do have 20 minutes.
And when you say empty, what do you mean by that?
The emptiness being, hi, I'm Adam, I have a marketing agency. Oh, that's nice. Who's your clients? Brilliant. On to the next person.
Yeah.
Is that genuine connection? Are you really going to get to know someone within that 30-second pitch?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can hear what they do, but do you really know what they do? I can stand up and say there, hi, my name's Adam Stewart, I own Wave the agency. I look after multiple global brands and I have influencer and celebrity contacts. You've got no idea what I do.
Yeah.
You obviously do know.
Uh-huh.
That's not even touching the iceberg of what I do. Or that's not even the tip of the iceberg, of what I do. So, it's hard. That is why a genuine connection. We always talk about the power of a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
The power of a cup of coffee is phenomenal. What you can learn about someone and, the conversations and the fruit that can come from having a cup of coffee with someone is so powerful. So,
well, on like back when you were saying the first time that we'd met in terms of, I think you came up to
the office maybe,
our office at the time, and we were like, let's get a coffee, let's chat. What we anticipated to maybe be like, half an hour conversation. We were then sitting there. I think 2 or 3 hours later,
I think
you
it
were
was
sitting there doing work. We were doing work, and it was just like, I think at that moment is where you realise that this is a good person, this is a good guy doing some cool things, and a friendship can actually be formed as well, as opposed to, all right, Adam, I know you do this. Do you have, whatever?
Can you help with that for me? And this is where, even though at that time we were both doing the same thing, really, I know you were very much ads focused and whatever, but we were very much doing the same thing. I didn't feel one bit of difficulty working alongside you. Mm-hmm. We could have went after the same clients. We could have had to fight for the same clients. See, to me, it doesn't matter. My conversation is, let's do it together.
Yeah.
Because for me, working by yourself can be very, very lonely. That is why for me collaboration is so powerful, because there is now not a day goes by. I don't have a single client that I work on independently. Mm-hmm. Not one. And I have the joy, genuine joy, of working with people collaboratively on a daily basis, people that I genuinely love, people that I believe in, people I know have incredible connections, incredible work ethic, amazing motivation, are insanely talented at what they do, and are ready to take our clients to the next level. That is why I collaborate. Because every single day we can do collectively more than I'll ever be able to do myself. And that is why I love collaboration. So for me, being there with you in that office, that they are so much more fruitful than me meeting you at a networking event. I actually remember, I'm now thinking of another situation. You came to one of my client events. Now, that was not a networking event, but it was a very much mingle setting where we were speaking about the brand, and it was a lovely experience. But for me, I can then say, Leon, this is Matthew. Or I remember he spoke to Atta for a long, long time.
Yeah.
That there's genuine connection. Uh-huh. That's genuine connection. That's not, we're all forced to be here in the room and we're all going to do an elevator pitch and kid on. We all, are really passionate about our business and we all know what we're talking about, when really we don't. That's why we're in the room. That's why we're networking.
And I remember straight after that event, we jumped outside and we were doing videos
Filming,
and stuff with some of the people that we'd met in there.
You just met them about an hour ago.
And I don't think stuff like that's...
You ain't getting that for a networking event.
It's never happened for me personally from a networking event.
That is really genuine connection. That there is a power of genuine connection. When you connect with people genuinely, they're invested in your story, they're invested in your journey, and they want to walk alongside you. That's a power of collaboration as well. We're actually taking a break in my episode because we've got a little ad break. Fraser, this is my first time meeting you, and I'm really interested to hear about your brand. And obviously I've heard from you about on the podcast. Tell me about your range itself rather than the brand. I want to hear what is in your range and what kind of steps and processes I can take each day when using your brand.
Brilliant. Great question. So it's all around simplified skincare and easy to follow steps for morning and night. So in the morning, you've got our daily hydrating cleanser. You use it the first step. You can use it at the end of the shower or in the sink clean your face and neck. It won't strip your skin dry. It hydrates and lightly exfoliates.
Okay.
That same cleanser is used as your first step in the evening as well. So you can think about it as like shower, maybe in the morning, sink at night time. And then we also have a really nice serum for the morning. It's all about brightening, energizing, and protecting your skin for what it's about to face throughout the day. And then the final step in the morning is our hero product, which is our SPF 50 moisturizer. Lightweight, not greasy, invisible matte finish, and that was recommended by British GQ. Wow. So it's like SPF, we think of it as like clogging our pores, yellow t-shirt stains. Absolutely. It's the opposite. And then at night, again, we mentioned use the cleanser, and then you can follow up with our PM calming serum, which delivers ceramides, probiotics, oat beta glucan to calm and repair your barrier function while you sleep.
So what I'm hearing here is actually it's a very simple, easy format, easy process to follow. What I find just now is with other skincare brands, it's step 1 to 101, and you've got 100 things to do before you go to bed, and then all of a sudden you're going to bed and there's creams in your eyes and your oils everywhere. That sounds really simple to me. So it's definitely something I'll try. Tell me, what was the most important thing for you in developing your brand?
So I think the most important thing for me was, again, what you mentioned about too many steps. I think there's so much confusion in the marketplace, but also confusion about what actually makes the biggest difference when it comes to skin health. And the number one thing is UV exposure. Even in Scotland, those UVA rays are present every single day. So
no aging, guys. No aging.
The best thing you can do for skin health for the long term is that daily UV protection. Amazing. And the idea of compounding that over time will make a big difference in the long run. Amazing.
Tell me, where did your name come from?
So I'd love to say there was like a family name or family story, but there's not, unfortunately. I basically just wanted something that was unique, 4 or 5 letters, easy to remember, something that kind of looked quite symmetrical and quite cool. I wanted to own the .com, own the SEO traffic, own the Instagram, etc. So yeah, it was a made up name, kind of combining different words together.
And before we head back to the episode, what is your discount code?
My discount code is focus15 at dussel.com.
I'll be using that today.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Why did you want to start a business?
I guess that independence really does come into it, because I don't really like being told what to do. I don't like having to be at a certain place for a certain time. For me, the driver there is the freedom. Now, freedom can mean financial freedom. It can mean a lot of things. For me, it's time freedom. I completely understand that you need the financial freedom to have the time freedom. I get that. But I wouldn't say that money is my complete and utter driver, because it's really not. I would much rather have the time. I love being away. I love being on holiday. I love, this year alone, I'm doing, in fact, just till June, I'm doing Abu Dhabi, Miami, LA, Vegas, and Fiji. But I'll still be working 100% of the time when I'm away. But that flexibility and freedom to say, I'm not booking in meetings, events, I'm not scheduling calls, for these 5 weeks before June, I'm not doing it. Yes, I'll answer emails. Yes, I'll do posts for clients. Yes, I need to do what I need to do because I'm a business owner. I'm self-employed. Of course we have to do that. Of course we have to make those sacrifices. I'd rather do it in the sun. I'd rather do it in Fiji with friends around me, by the pool. Of course I would. So for me, my driver, that underlying force there is the time freedom or the flexibility to say, nah, I'm not going to do that. But of course, that's a process. You're never going to get that overnight. I would probably say 2025 was a turning point for me, and just getting that, and that's been going since 2017-18. So I'm just getting to that point now, and it's been pretty much full time since. It has been full time since then.
We haven't actually touched on yet Waves, the agency.
Yes.
What you do, where's your specialisms, type of clients you work with.
Yep.
What does that full kind of scale look like for you?
Yeah. So Wave, the agency, making waves on social media, focusing on social, influencer, celebs, and events. Our main, I'm going to say we, when I refer to we, I'm talking about Vic Halliday and I, because that Wave, the agency, our clients are in collaboration with Vic Halliday, except from a very small few. So when I say we, I'm speaking in collaboration with Vic and Keen from Tact Agency in turn there actually. Our clients are ranges from, we've got global beauty clients, we have got now multiple luxury hotels. I would say that luxury hotels or luxury hospitality is our driving force at the moment. We have the majority of what we're doing is luxury hotels now. Only yesterday we signed another 5 plus a restaurant attached to that, but so 5 luxury hotels. We're now working on huge projects in the charity sector as well, which has just been incredible. We work alongside the National Television Awards. We're working alongside the Brit Awards, previously MTV Awards. It's very varied what we do. But our I would say our strongest point is our influencer and celebrity activations. Our influencer and celebrity connections are incredible. We pride ourselves with genuine connections with our influencers and celebs, so much so we call them friends. And that is the kind of main part of what we do. We have had clients like Harvey Nichols, Edinburgh, as you know, which has been that was huge for us as well. I work with Creed Fragrances as well. Creed look after their influencer celeb dinners, brand activations. So yes, we absolutely do specialise in activations. Yes, we do specialise. Our favourite thing to do is our very, very small, intimate 10 people round a table for a brand, but very high network people. That for us is where we excel, but we absolutely do social media management for all of our clients. And then of course events come into it as well. So one-off events, again, like the National Television Awards, NTAs takes up probably 5 months of our year. So up until the 8th of September, we are full out for about 5 months. Before that is one of the biggest nights it is the biggest night in television, and our brands are very much involved in that.
It's amazing. You cover such a wide range of offerings and services, I suppose, but all seems still so specific and niche in terms of what it is you do. You talked about starting Waves, and before it was even Waves, and it wasn't necessarily, I'm going to start business and do this.
No.
It was more something that you kind of, I think, fell into.
100% fell on my lap. So at that time, Matthew, it was very much, Adam, can you help me with this? Adam, can you help me with that? When I worked at STV, Clyde, etc., I needed to fill my year. I had a year gap until I went to uni. I had to fill my time in some way. So for me, that was a time filler. But little did I know I would end up falling in love with that industry. I would end up falling in love with working with these types of people. It was just the best experience ever. So yeah, it never intended to happen, but it slowly but surely did. It was a slow process of I was starting at STV, Clyde, was working in the clubs, Cushion, PR. I ended up fully taking over the social there. Sanctuary again fully took over the social there as well. So those opportunities came along, grabbed them with both hands, and then again, before I know it, Adam, I've got this restaurant, can you help me? Then COVID hit, and then all the restaurants weren't serving food inside, and we very quickly had to get restaurants to do takeaways that had never done takeaways before. Selling restaurants online was insane, because they had never done it before. It wasn't all of a sudden steak restaurants are doing takeaway boxes where you could go pick up your steak and cook it at home. And, we had to very quickly learn how to create campaigns around these without touching each other or seeing each other. It was a real challenge. I strongly believe COVID absolutely accelerated my business. In fact, I take that back. I absolutely know COVID accelerated my business.
And you mentioned there about going through the sort of evolution of the business in terms of getting the next clients. How did you go about that?
I know I've shared this with you before, and I really mean this, and I feel very, very blessed to say this, but I've never had to pitch for a client. I've never had to look for clients. The opportunities have literally always flowed to me. Most
businesses, they often look at pipeline and where is the next opportunity coming from, and really tracking that in terms of knowing the business numbers, what they look like. How do you do that in that sense if a lot of what's coming to you is the referrals potentially, or I've seen you're doing this, you're good at this? How do you manage to understand what the projections look like? I'll be honest, I can't. I honestly, the timeline of the way this has all happened, I couldn't have wrote it myself. I can't project what I'll make next year. I can't project. I've been very, very blessed with the clients that obviously clients come and go. Absolutely. The restaurants we worked with during COVID, in fact, some of them we do, but most of the restaurants we worked with in COVID, we now don't work with. It's been a natural progression of then after COVID, people taking, a full-time social media exec in-house. That's okay. I'm absolutely okay with that.
But maybe the reason I'm okay with it is because I've always had such a stream of work. I've always had such a solid stream of, I mean, even like that opportunity that came very recently with these 5 new or 6 new clients all came at once through one organisation. I remember we had this conversation at the very start. Go for the big groups, go for these chains, because instead of going for the independent hotels, restaurants, bars, cafes, whatever it is, if you hit the big chains, you're going to get multiple accounts at one time. And that's what we've managed to do. And that is opportunity that's been brought to us. One of our main clients, and I know he won't mind me saying this, but I've been very blessed with a client, a hotel client, and his name's Craig Monroe. He is, I would arguably say, one of Scotland's leading hoteliers. We were really badly let down by a restaurant that was looking after us for a brand activation. We had talent like Ekin-Su up, Saffron Barker, Alex Murphy was here, Lucy Edwards was here, Jake Jamie. You know, we had amazing names come up, Jake Quickenden, and unfortunately one of the venues had double booked. We couldn't go into the restaurant that we're having this activation at. They were collaborating with us. It was 2 days before. I got this number from my friend, this guy called Craig Monroe. Apparently, I heard he was a lovely guy and he might be able to help you. He was general manager at the time up at the AC Hotel just off George Square. Yep. And I said to him, I phoned him, I said, look, I need to meet you in half an hour. My name's Adam. He was like, sorry, I'm busy. I said, no, you don't understand. I said, I need to see you in half an hour. He was like, right, come up. So he took me up to the AC Hotel when he was there. He's not there now. And took me up to a space called the Liberty Suite, and he was like, this is the only dining space I've got available for private dining in 2 days' time. I went, this is who's coming, this is the situation, I need to collaborate with you, are you in? And it was a big yes. And that day in November 2024 literally has changed our life, because not only did then we transition to work with Craig, that hotel, plus the new wedding venue they've got, plus their restaurant, we now work with the greater group that own them, and now obviously getting more of their hotels, which has just been incredible. So again, genuine connection.
That's class, honestly. I think that's so exciting. And such a big achievement as well, in terms of like the way that you've managed to work to get in that opportunity, commanding the situation, I suppose, a bit as well, in terms of, I need half an hour with you.
I need your time. And you know, that's the thing. We had to make our opportunity for him. We had to tick boxes for him. They needed set deliverables. They needed, awareness of the hotel. They needed press. But he saw our work and he trusted us, and he saw the fruit from it, and he thought, we need some of that here, So it was. I'm very grateful to Craig Monroe, and I really am. He's, for Vic and I know Vic, if she was sitting here, would say the exact same thing. He has transformed our businesses, taken us to the next level.
It's amazing. And you mentioned when we spoke the last time that you had loads of big achievements in terms of working with Starbucks and Creed, Marriott, ASOS, those sort of things. I'd actually watched another podcast that you were on in preparation, 2021. You look like a different guy. It's crazy.
I don't even know what one it is, but anyway.
I can't remember.
Was it in a car?
No, I think it was just after lockdown, because it was online. 2021, March, so just after your birthday.
This is where it's hard, because this is where the crossover really happens. A lot of those achievements weren't through my social media agency, though. That was through Adam Stewart, the brand.
Okay.
And this is where it's been so important for me to
disassociate
myself from the business, because the likes of the ASOS work, Starbucks, those kind of brand-led things, that was through me and my work. That wasn't because I'm a social media manager. That was looking at, I've got a really, really small following, but a really connected following as well. I do a bit of content creation on my own page. That work was all personal.
Yeah.
So this is another reason why I had to take my name off the door of the business to let Adam Stewart be a brand and be a source of income.
Yeah.
And let my name, I could really, if I wanted to, not do the social media management and just be Adam and have my brand and build that up. But that's running itself, and Adam Stewart, the brand, is doing great, and I'm very grateful for all those opportunities. But in my mind, I really have to wear different hats. I'm Adam Stewart, or I'm with the agency. They can't. I'm really trying hard not to intertwine the two.
Yeah, and I think that was the point I wanted to get on, in terms of you've got all these different things on the go. You're operating within different industries, offering different services within Waves. You're doing your own sort of more independent stuff through Adam Stewart in terms of your personal brand. How do you balance time and go, here's the priorities with different stuff, and also the ability to say yes and no to particular opportunities because of potential things colliding as well?
I think that's a really hard question, because as an entrepreneur, as a founder, saying no is very, very difficult. At the beginning, I couldn't really say no. It's taken me this long to start saying no to opportunities. Vic and I turned in a hotel recently, and I can't believe, because if I told 17-year-old Adam that I'd be turning something down, I would probably pass out. But you get to a stage where you have to, but that is taking years of building the business. That is taking years of building up where we are now and what we're doing. So, it is really, really difficult. I guess I don't really have an answer to your question, if I'm being really honest, because for Adam Stewart, that takes a lot of time in terms of me being physically there. Yep. If I'm hosting, obviously, that's a lot of preparation for hosting. It's a lot of preparation for presenting. It's a lot of preparation for, working with brands like ASOS. I was, involved in the launch of Collusion for ASOS, which is, the brand Collusion.
Yep.
I was one of very, very few. I was 18 when we launched that brand. ASOS had me down in London. Again, opportunities that have just flown to me that I'm so grateful for. Again, I didn't go out looking for that. It literally has come to me, and I'm so grateful for that. I have to really carve out the time to be Adam Stewart, and my weekends, especially because of the hosting presenting, is my Adam Stewart time.
Yeah,
and I try at least 4 days during the week is Waves. So it's not really answered your question at all, actually, but it's such a hard question to answer, because as a founder, you have to give your everything at the start.
Yeah,
you really do.
It's just spinning all the plates at the same time and
it's
managing
really hard.
that.
And you have to, until you get to the point one day you go, something I can sit back. I can now comfortably sit back a little bit here.
Yeah. In terms of moving on to some of the community questions, so you yourself, you're part of the Focus on Founders community, wide range of business owners at all different levels. They send me some of their questions before the episodes. So just in terms of asking you a few of them, get some of their questions answered. And it follows on from what we were just saying there. How do you know when to say yes and when to walk away?
I have learned the power of saying no is greater than the power of saying yes. Because when you say no, you're then in a position to really map out where your business is going next, and you then understand your business. At the start, as I just said, when I was building this, you have to say yes to every opportunity, even if you didn't want to. There was at times, and I'm very grateful for these guys before I say this, but I don't know if you remember Pure Sweet, the dessert drive-through.
Yeah.
That was a huge success then. Would I really probably want to work with a dessert shop now? Definitely not. But then I absolutely had to. I wanted to. I wanted the business. I wanted the money.
Mm-hmm.
It was during COVID. This opportunity had came, so I had to say yes at that time. But the power of saying no now for me is so powerful, because I am understanding. Does it align with me?
Mm-hmm.
Does it align with my business? Not only that, can I actually help these people? Can I help this brand? Equally, does their internal team align with me? Are we going to connect? Are we going to connect Are we going to make genuine relationships and a genuine connection? And for me, again, recently we had to say no to a hotel client. We just knew it wouldn't align with us. And it's a gut feeling. And you have to look at the opportunities you're currently working with and your time. What I never want to do is build up a business that's over capacity and my clients then suffer.
Yeah.
We can't do that. So that's the power of saying no for me. It is a gut instinct. It's a feeling that you know what's right and what's wrong. But only now have I learned that.
Yeah, it's
That's
very interesting.
That has taken me since 2000. Like that's taken me until 2025.
Yeah, it comes at different stages of growth of your business. The second one was, what mistakes do you see founders making in social media?
In social media, in terms of what they post, or
for their brands when they're doing their socials, what's the biggest mistake that you see?
A massive lack of community building. I see brands putting out posts there, and I would use the word empty to describe them. I would also, I don't even know if that's a word, but scrollable.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not building a community. It's not driving conversation. When founders don't have community or don't have a strong sense of community within their business, it really lacks personality. And brands need to be personable. They have to be, is probably what I would say.
Perfect. This hour's absolutely flown in.
Has that been an hour?
Nearly there. The final question that we ask every business owner that comes on this podcast is, in 10 years' time, when people reflect back on the work that you, Adam Stewart, have done, what do you hope that they say about it?
I hope they say it's unique. I think social media marketers and companies, especially working on scale, quite often can get into really bad habits in terms of social media management, and sometimes posting for the sake of posting. And I never want my clients to get like that. I always want them to be unique. I always want them to feel different, with the right tone, with different personalities for each brand. I want to look back, and I want people to look back and say they had each brand so different. So different. Even though they are one company, every single brand they work with are unique in their own way, and their online presence is so different from each other. I also want people to remember the power of collaboration and the power of what we do together collectively when we take on projects together. Because for me, the power of collaboration has completely transformed my business, but it's also transformed the businesses that we work with.
It's amazing. Thanks very much, Adam, for coming on as a guest. Thanks for your honesty and sharing your full journey. I'm sure there's going to be so many people that will be able to resonate with aspects of it, take lessons and learnings from the episode as well.
Hey, it's Fraser from Dussel here. Before you go, I just wanted to hop on and say a quick thank you. Thank you so much to Matthew and the Focus on Founders team for having Dussel as part of this journey. Dussel was built in Glasgow around the mission to protect your skin for life. And to me, what that means is small daily habits that actually make a difference when it comes to your overall skin health and will help you in the long run. If you want to find out more about Dussel, you can at dussel.com and use code FOCUS15 for a discount. Future you says thanks.
For anyone listening to today's episode, you'll be able to find Adam and Waves the Agency, all their details in the show notes of today's episode. I encourage you, if you've enjoyed today's episode, to subscribe to the channel and share the episode to someone else wanting to one day do something of their own and inspire them along that journey. Until next time, thanks, Adam.
Thank you so much.